Are you looking to experience everything Star Wars has to offer, specifically the current or Disney canon? This is all the content created since George Lucas sold his company to Disney in 2012. At this point, Disney scrapped everything made prior to that and categorized them as Legends content. The only exceptions are the original and prequel trilogies and the Clone Wars TV show. This actually makes doing a full run through everything Star Wars has to offer in the current canon much easier, as that eliminates hundreds of stories. I just completed my first run through the entire canon in chronological order, and while most of it is standalone stories, a lot of it also enhances the movies and deepens your understanding of pretty much everything going on around them. It also makes the deaths of some more minor characters a lot more sad, and some major characters a lot more anticlimactic. Going through this can be overwhelming, so I'm going to share some tips and tricks that I learned along the way that I wish I knew before starting. If you're looking to do this, and depending on how hardcore and strict you want to be with it, this is a very time-consuming and expensive venture. It is a huge commitment to do this. I think I started it in January of 2022 and finished it in August of 2025, and as they are constantly making new content, it's only gotten longer, and I'm going to go through the entire thing again. Yes, I'm that much of a psycho. I love reading, and I pretty much gave up reading anything but Star Wars at this point. The only time I read other things is basically when I'm waiting for something Star Wars related to come in the mail. So yeah, this is a huge life-consuming commitment if you choose it to be so. If you don't have a lot of money, don't even try this. I honestly don't even want to know how much money I've spent on the first run through. To go through the whole canon, you've got books of all shapes and sizes, and these are actually all the physical books I have. Then these are the comics. There are hundreds of comics. All of those are Star Wars comics. And as for like the digital electronic or whatever, I easily have 10 times the amount of books and comics. Less overwhelming is the movies, TV shows, video games, magazines, board games, pretty much everything you could think of. I had to buy a PS5, a PSVR, and a PSVR 2 just to complete this, so that's $1,000 right there. I'm a huge gamer and would have eventually gotten a PS5 anyway, and honestly it was a good excuse to get into VR too. So I'm going to use these things anyway, but if you're not a gamer and won't ever use them, I would say definitely skip these or just read plot summaries. Also note every Star Wars game on PS5 is available on PC and Xbox if you have those, and I believe the two VR games are also available on any other VR platform as well. But anyway, on average, I'd probably spent around $100 to $150 a month on Star Wars related media. Okay, and a final word of warning, much of everything made probably from 2021 onwards is very woke. Like, they shove it down your throat relentlessly to the point it's laughable and hard to believe editors allowed a lot of it to get in. There's so many pointless scenes and characters, particularly in the comics and books, that are included just to have woke stuff in it when there was probably already a ton to begin with. I actually quit for a few weeks because I got so sick of it and only continue with it now because of how much I've invested into it. A lot of times they just abandon trying to make a Star Wars story and opt to push their agenda instead. It's tiresome and makes a lot of things practically unreadable. If you're looking for a great story and some intense action, you're mostly going to find romance chock full of woke messaging instead. If that's something that's going to ruin the experience for you, then definitely pass on this venture. I know I'm going on and on about it, but it's just to illustrate how ridiculous it's gotten. Okay, so if you can handle the time, expenses, and wokeness, I can tell you how you can acquire all these things. Depending on how many times you plan on going through the canon and your thoughts on subscriptions will influence the path you want to take. If you're going through it once, subscriptions might be the cheapest way to go. Nearly all the comics and books can be read through Amazon's Kindle Unlimited, Comixology, and Audible subscriptions. Though take note, there are a few comics and books that are only available physically. I bought everything because I don't like subscriptions. I just don't like spending money and having nothing to show for it when I unsubscribe. That's my personal feelings. Most comics and books cost around $8 to $12 for collections, and as I plan on going through the canon until they stop making Star Wars stuff, or more likely till I die, I'm going to barely spend any money subsequent times through, so eventually for me it will be cheaper. Though I do subscribe to Audible because they give you credits to actually buy audiobooks, and they give out some good subscription deals. Disney Plus is also a must for tackling the shows, as many are exclusive to the streaming service. This has every show and movie that you'll need to watch, with the exception of a few that can be found on YouTube instead. Some of the shows do get physical releases about a year or two after they first stream, but I don't buy them as they're absurdly overpriced. The other sort of mandatory subscription is to Star Wars Insider magazine. It's around $50 a year and comes with 6 to 8 issues per year, and you can choose a physical or digital copy. You can buy issues separately, but a yearly subscription is much cheaper, though older issues you'd have to buy anyway, usually for $10. These magazines are necessary because each issue comes with a Canon short story. Many older short stories have been compiled into their own collections, and I'll tell you how you can find that out in a bit. If you aren't going all in, then these aren't really worth it, though the magazine itself is pretty cool and provides lots of interviews with authors, cast and crew, and tons of insight into countless other things. It's also a great source of keeping track of new releases if you want to get things as they come out, as each issue highlights recent and upcoming releases across all media. Alright, so once you've decided that you want to do this and have an idea of if you prefer owning things outright or subscriptions, now it's time to learn how to find all the content and what order to go through it. Your Bible is going to be the Canon timeline list on Wookiepedia. There's a link in the description for that. It actually has a list of legend stuff too. Be warned, this page is nothing but a headache. I could make a separate video on all the ways it drives me nuts, but for now, let's just say it's more concerned about bearing you in ads than being functional. So this is going to list everything in chronological order and is actually pretty accurate. Only once or twice did I question something on the timeline. Star Wars timeline, at least for this and many other things, is broken down in terms of BBY, which is before the Battle of Yavin, and ABY, which is after the Battle of Yavin, the Battle of Yavin being the first attack on the Death Star in Episode 4. So any number there, so that's 228 years before that battle. Clicking on any of the titles brings up more info about them, including a plot summary if you want to skip something but get a gist of it. But most importantly, it will tell you where it was published, so in cases of comics or random stories, it tells you what you need to buy or find to get that story. Now here's the most important thing that I wish I knew when I started and figured out way later and could have saved myself a good amount of cash. Though I guess if you're going the subscription route, it won't matter nearly as much, but it's still good to know. For any kind of written format, especially comics, it's absolutely imperative to scroll down pretty far on its page, and if applicable, there's going to be this collection section. This will tell you every single thing a story has been included in, which a lot of the time are some good compilations that are much cheaper than buying them individually. To see what a compilation collects, all you need to do is click on the link and it'll list everything that is included in that compilation. Now, for the most part, comics are collected in 5-issue bundles, and that's almost always what will come up on Amazon in a search, but the collection section might show you that entire series are compiled, so you'll get like 50 comics for a significantly reduced price. Most of the time. It's going to take some research to make sure you're getting the best deal, because sometimes buying the 5 comic volumes is cheaper. Fortunately, Amazon makes this easy to see. If you're looking at a volume, they'll have a link to see an entire series, so it'll give you the price for all of those volumes. Let's use this omnibus as an example. It collects 10 High Republic comics, which we know means they are also available in 2 volumes separately, 1 through 5 in Volume 1 and issues 6 through 10 in Volume 2. There's also this Blade series that has its own volume collecting those 4 comics. So we can check the price of the omnibus itself that has all 14 comics compiled into one. Now, if we look up High Republic Volume 1 and then click on See the Series, we can see each volume for that series. There's only 2 here, but a lot of times there's many more. It's easy to see the cost of each volume, but there's also that Blade series, so we have to add that in too. Once we've checked the price on everything a compilation collects, you'll know what's cheaper, thus which way to buy them. In this case, separately is actually cheaper. So this collection section is essential, and I can't tell you how much that's helped. I check it before I buy anything. And speaking of buying, Amazon usually has the best prices on Kindle, but unless you want everything exclusively in e-format, check elsewhere too. I've gotten a lot of things cheaper on eBay, and sometimes Amazon has a physical book cheaper. Usually the price difference is like $1, but if I add up all the times I saved $1 here and there, it's a decent amount of extra change in my pocket. This journey is going to get confusing. I definitely stumbled along the way and accidentally bought things multiple times or the wrong thing entirely. So I'll end this with one final bit of knowledge. The comics are the laziest named things of all time, and until you learn it all, it's mind-boggling. So I'm just going to let you know there is Marvel Star Wars Comics, which is the main story that pretty much covers a bunch of stuff from after A New Hope to before Return of the Jedi. Simple enough, no issues there. But then there's Star Wars Adventures from 2017 line and Star Wars Adventures 2020. But the year isn't in the title, so you've got to figure it out yourself. But don't worry, it's actually easy to do. The 2017 comics have adventures in big yellow font, and the cover pages are in a more cartoony style. The 2020 Adventures is in a more simplistic, usually black font, sometimes white, and it has a more serious and dramatic art. There's also High Republic and High Republic Adventures. The High Republic series has 3 phases, each with their own comic line of both High Republic and High Republic Adventures. These aren't as bad because they do identify what phase they're in, not so much on the comic themselves, unfortunately, but in the listings instead. There's also 3 Darth Vader comic lines named Darth Vader. There's a 2015, 17, and 2020 run. I've got no tips on how to tell them apart because by then then I just really paid attention to the collection section and made sure I was getting the right thing. Just know one line takes place right after Revenge of the Sith, another between episodes 4 and 5, and another between 5 and 6. There's a million other comic lines, but they're more straightforward at least. And that's really all there is to it. Just go down that list and do it all or do what you want. Just make sure you're looking into the right thing. Wookiepedia is a great source to make sure that you are. Because of the 3 reasons I gave earlier, though, I really wouldn't recommend doing a full run through. If you do, may the Force be with you. You're gonna need it.